A Pakistani national was arrested in Canada for trying to carry out a terror attack in New York City. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a Pakistani national who was living in Canada and got arrested in Canada for trying to go to the U.S. and commit a terror attack. I believe he was driving and he got to the border. He's trying to go to New York. And they stop him and say, hold on, wait a minute. We got a flag right here. Something's going on. So he was arrested right there. And I think the nature of his charges will pretty much give him a lifetime prison sentence. I don't see this guy getting out anytime soon. They're going to send him to Gitmo to make big rocks to little rocks. And before I continue, we have an article right here straight from the DOJ. So you know this is real. This ain't no fake stuff. Okay, Pakistani national charged for plotting terrorist attack in New York City in support of ISIS. Now, what he wanted to do was to carry out the terror attack on the first anniversary of October the 7th. And of course, that's when the whole Gaza, Israel, Hamas, that's when that whole thing popped off. So that was his goal. He wanted to go to a Jewish center in New York and do that. Now, listen. The feds know what you're doing, okay? They know what you're doing. They're monitoring your social media activity. You thinking you sending direct messages and everything's private. They're reading that. Emails, they're reading that. You meeting with people, trying to get collaborators. Those are undercover agents. Just like the whole Gretchen Whitmer kerfuffle. Remember that? Oh, they were trying to kidnap the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. When in reality, out of the 22 guys who were involved, what was it, like 18 or 20 were either federal agents employed by the agency or federal informants. It was only 2 regular normies caught up in the whole mix. Everybody else was a fed in some way, form, or fashion. And the reason why I say that is because they know what's going on. All that they have a problem with sometimes is preventing you from committing your ultimate action. In the case in Georgia with the mass shooter at the school, they knew about him from the beginning, but what could they have done to stop it? In this case, the guy was driving to New York. So once he goes to the border, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Where are you going, sir? You're not going anywhere. You're about to go. Well, actually, you are going somewhere. You're about to go to the penitentiary to make big rocks to little. And before I continue, let's get into the actual news clip here. I won't play the entire thing, but I will link to everything. This video, the DOJ article, everything will be in the box. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
And you are taking a live look over New York City at this hour. Want to go over all of the details that we know about this, as a man has been arrested in Canada in connection with a plot to carry out a mass shooting at a Jewish center in Brooklyn on the first anniversary of the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel. And the information did come in from the Justice Department.
Now, what I want to know is, will the DOJ try to get him extradited? Because I think he was arrested in Canada. And is he a citizen at all of Canada? Is he on a visa? Is he a student? What's going on with his immigration status? I think this would be a case for the Canadians, but they'll probably give him to us to let us take care of it. We'll pay for it and we'll lock him up, make him, hey, break it down rocks all day long. That's all you're going to do for a living. Ain't going to be no more chatting on social media. Ain't gonna be no more of that. You can make him big rocks to little rocks all day long, but I digress.
The DOJ identifying the suspect as a 21-year-old man. He is Muhammad Shahzeb Khan, also known as Shahzeb Jadoon. He's charged with attempting to provide material support to the ISIS terror group and was arrested while attempting to cross the Canadian border into the U.S. Federal investigators allege he told undercover law enforcement that he and another ISIS supporter based in the U.S. needed to obtain AR-style rifles, ammo, and other weapons, saying New York City was the, quote, perfect target because of its large Jewish population. He's accused of saying the plan could result in, quote, the largest attack on U.S. soil since 9/11.
Now I got a question. Okay, what's going on here? Was this guy a radical in Pakistan before he came here? Did he come here as a child? Does he have parents who are from Pakistan and he came here when he was like 5 years old? I want to know about this guy's background. And the reason why I want to know is we got to keep these kind of individuals from coming into the country. Please believe this was a Canadian situation, their border is more secure than ours, much more secure. The southern border is wide open. So that guy could have come through the other border and got into the country just fine with his weapons and everything because the border's wide open. See, that's part of the problem. People just think that, oh, it's Mexicans coming across and you guys are racist because you don't want them coming across. It's not even about the Mexicans. They've been here. Okay, California is pretty much Mexico. Texas, Mexico. New Mexico, Mexico. Arizona, Mexico. So it ain't no big deal. It's not them we got to worry about. It's the whole world. Everybody from all over random parts of the world that may not like us too much. We got to worry about them.
Do want to discuss all of this here, so let's bring in an expert. Mike Harrigan was the chief of the FBI's firearms training program. He has 30 years plus experience in law enforcement and is now a threat assessment expert at the Pax Group, LLC. Thank you so much for taking the time, as always, to be here with us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Josh.
All right, so first off, you and I have discussed this in the past, but what I wanted to ask is, overall, federal investigators, the FBI included, how do they work to determine whether or not a threat is an actual threat if it is credible?
Very good question.
Yeah, that's a good question, Josh. There's a lot of work that goes into this prior to getting to the point where an arrest is made and public announcements are made on a situation like this. You know, normally what happens is there's a crush of intelligence out there, multiple agencies or many agencies, both here in the United States and abroad, that work together to vet raw intelligence, either from social media or for court authorized or national security wiretaps and other type of surveillance. And they collect that intelligence and they have to weed through it to find those that may lead or be indicative of a threat. So in this situation, clearly they had some intelligence. It looks like it came offline. This individual had some social media contacts and used some encrypted messaging apps after that. And
so, okay, you're using encrypted messaging apps and they know that you're doing that. Do they have a backdoor into encryption? Remember a few years ago, I covered a story, I talk about it quite a bit, where the government was trying to make Tim Cook, give them a backdoor into Apple iPhone's encryption. But he relented. Well, he didn't relent. He resisted. He was like, no, because that defeats the purpose of the encryption. We got to have privacy. And if there's a backdoor, then it could be exploited by the government and anybody else. So it defeats the purpose. Now, hopefully they've still stuck with that. Hopefully we're not just wide open to the federales, but obviously they know what you're doing. So it's not a secret. You might think it is, but it's not. They know what's going on.
You know, it stuck out to them as a potential threat. So then they developed it. You know, they made contact with the individual through undercover agents. And then they saw firsthand, needed to see where this was going and whether this was potentially going to materialize into a actual physical threat.
We do know at this point the man actually lives over in Canada, and he was arrested as he was trying to cross the border over into the U.S. Considering he is a Canadian resident, does that make it a little tougher for U.S. officials to make an arrest and to figure everything out? I imagine they have to work with Canadian officials as well.
Yet another great question. And when he said Canadian resident, I still want to know, what is he really? Is he on a visa? Student visa, work visa? Is he visiting, vacation? Has he been living there since he's been a child and never got his paperwork? I want to know what his status is.
Absolutely. In this situation, just looking at the press releases, clearly the Canadian national security elements and the U.S. domestic security elements were working very closely on this all along. So they likely had some very detailed conversations about how to proceed legally on this. And from what we can see is, as would be normal, charges were lodged in Canada against this individual. At the same time, the U.S. Department of Justice has obtained charges against this individual here in the United States. So what will happen is, looks like his first court appearance is going to be where he was arrested in Canada. I believe on September 13th, he has his first court appearance up there. And then what will happen is there'll be diplomatic exchanges and conversations on how to proceed, which is the best venue in which to prosecute, whether it's better to keep him in Canada and apply those nations' laws and use that justice system, or whether it's more appropriate to extradite him here to the United States.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that it'll be in Canada and be charged, convicted there, or will it be the U.S.? What do you guys think will happen? I think it'd be the U.S. Canada don't really want to deal with it necessarily. They can offload that guy and deport him out of their country and let us deal with it. I don't know. It could go either way.
And to prosecute him here in the U.S. courts. So that conversation, I'm sure, is being had behind the scenes. And either way, I'm sure both countries are going to do what's in best interest of ensuring the safety of both Canadian citizens and United States citizens.
Are situations like this happening maybe more than the American people realize? We hear about these stories here as information is released from the DOJ, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, but are they happening more than myself and others realize?
They probably get intelligence leaks and information all day, every day, 24/7, 365.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is this battle since 9/11 against Islamic extremists has been going on now for almost 23 years. And the intelligence communities here in the United States, Canada, and around the world are very well developed and very attuned into the threat and spend an incredible amount of resources tracking down potential threats, developing threats, looking through mountains of raw intelligence. I mean, mountains of raw intelligence, trying to get to the point where they're separating individuals who are simply espousing a political view into those individuals who are likely to act, that are advocating for violence to further those political views.
Right on. So there's more to the video, but it's kind of long. So for time's sake, I'll leave it right there. But yeah, shout out to the Canadians for getting the guy. Shout out to them for getting this guy before he came to the U.S. Because, again, we've seen guys who were on the radar of the federales and they're known about. And then the people that they know about, the guy that's on the radar, does something that they knew he was going to do from the beginning, but nothing was done to stop it. But in this case, they stopped him right there at the border. Big police presence, arrested him. Now he's going to the penitentiary to make big rocks to little in a very short period of time. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what happened here? Do you think the federales pick and choose who they want to arrest, or was it just good work? Okay, we're observing you. Look, they had undercover people, undercover agents he was talking to, trying to buy weapons. They had his social media. They had everything. So, all right, now you're trying to drive down there to do the thing. So now you're in commission of a crime at that moment. So they can just arrest you, boom, right there at the border. No, you cannot cross. You're going to prison. Whatever your thoughts are on this, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. The feds know what you're doing. They sure do. And again, sometimes they're able to stop somebody before they do something, and sometimes they can't. But I could tell you more often than not, they know what's going on. It's just a matter of their action after they know what's going on that can be kind of shaky, at least here in the USA. I'm not quite sure about the great white north, but whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.